Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the media coverage of Brett Hankison's sentence in the Breonna Taylor case. My name is Jordan Ortiz. So, Breonna Taylor was a woman who was killed in a botched 2020 police raid in Louisville, Kentucky. And then Officer Brett Hankison fired blindly into Taylor's apartment during the raid before the police could confirm which apartment was they were supposed to be at. And in July of this year, a federal judge sentenced him to 33 months. And our DOJ had suggested that he only gets a day in jail and wanted a really lenient sentence. And this kind of ignited debates on accountability, justice, and institutional leniency when it comes to holding police officers accountability in situations of police brutality. So the three sources that I chose, the first one was a article from the Associated Press titled "Ex-Louisville Officer Sentenced to Prison for Violating Breonna Taylor's Civil Rights." It is straight news, and its general tone was factual, neutral, and detached. I also chose a Reuters article titled "U.S. Judge Sentences Ex-Police Officer to 33 Months for Violating Breonna Taylor's Civil Rights." It is legal institutional reporting, and it's a very analytical institutional tone. And my final article was a Fox News article titled "Former Louisville Police Officer Sentenced for Violating Breonna Taylor's Civil Rights." It is opinionated, like a media reaction type of source, and its general tone was persuasive, emotional, and politicized. So, of the language and tone comparison, the Associated Press was pretty neutral, very procedural, used very procedural terms like sentenced and federal violation, and had an objective tone throughout. Reuters was slightly formal and legalistic, using phrases like violating civil rights and sentencing recommendations, and so it's very analytical. And the Fox News article was emotional and used phrases like outrage, backlash, slap on the wrist, and had a very persuasive tone to it. Of the selection and omissions for like the voices that they were using, the Associated Press article highlighted the judge's decision and details of the sentencing, but it omitted community reactions and the reactions of the family as well. And the Reuters article focused on the DOJ's leniency and judicial reaction, and it excluded like the voices of activists and like any other emotion, anything with emotion. And the Fox News article highlighted statements from the family's attorney, but that was kind of it. It omitted any like legal reasoning or analysis. Of the representation of sources and perspectives, an Associated Press article quoted the judge, DOJ, and the defense attorney, and it was balanced throughout, but a little detached from, again, like any emotion. And then the Reuters article centered federal and legal sources, and it was pretty institutionally dominant. And then the Fox News article had like omitted voices of the experts, and it was really opinionated, and it kind of like amplified critiques of the sentencing rather than anything factual. And so the last thing was the framing and perception, and the Associated Press article focused on the justice served and the system's function and accountability when it comes to holding Hankison accountable for, what he did and for the murder that he committed. The Reuters article focused on the institutional tension versus like the judge's opinion and the DOJ's opinion, and overall like focus in the trust of the federal justice like being questioned. And lastly, the Fox News article focused a lot on the cultural division, and it frames the case through reactions to like political identity rather than what was like right or wrong. And so overall, the framing tone and source choice like deeply influences social perceptions of criminal justice, especially like throughout the media, and what we like choose to spread about certain topics and situations. And even neutral articles omit and limit like the emotional engagement of like the lived experiences of humans. And it kind of highlights how media bias and institutional trust shapes the narrative around race, policing, and accountability. And I know that we talk a lot about how media perception is jaded with a lot of bias, for like in our class specifically for mental health, but the same thing is applicable in this situation, because this was a black woman and this was a police officer, and so there's obviously going to be very politicized opinions about things. But overall, the three articles were pretty round in what they were talking about. So, and then these are my sources. Thank you.